My whole family is really gonna miss Abbott Elementary. We are really gonna miss Only Murders in the Building. But you know what? We would miss the First Amendment a whole lot more. Don't go to the theme parks. Don't go on the cruises. Cancel your subscriptions. Now.
No.
Okay.
What?
We do not care.
On September 17th, 2025, Disney and ABC made the rightful decision to suspend Jimmy Kimmel off of his late-night show, following the insensitive comments that he made about Charlie Kirk's death and the false information presented about Charlie Kirk's assassin. And in today's video, I will be discussing that although the left is seeing this as an attack on free speech, mind you, I am a sane person who believes that that is the furthest thing from. Although I have already shown the video of Jimmy Kimmel and the stuff that he said about Charlie in a previous video I had made discussing how I felt about Charlie's death, I will show it again anyways just to give some people context if they have not seen the previous video, which most of the people that watch my channel do not.
Some new lows over the weekend with the MAGA gang desperately trying to characterize this kid who murdered Charlie Kirk as anything other than one of them and doing everything they can to score political points from. This is not how an adult grieves the murder of someone he called a friend. This is how a 4-year-old mourns a goldfish, okay?
Now, after seeing that post again, I will admit Disney and ABC were guiltless on what they did to Jimmy Kimmel. And a lot of people on the left are saying that this was an attack on free speech when it was the furthest thing from. You know? And I believe Amir Odom put it best on his Instagram. Now, the story post that he has said about it is currently not available anymore. And even though he and I will never be friends, and he'll likely never see this video, right? Even though we have the same viewpoints, I believe what he said about it was perfect. So I'm going to paraphrase what he said from his Instagram. You have free speech from your government, not from your employer. Which is also the exact same thing that I said to my mom when she told me that she was contemplating canceling her Disney Plus subscription over what happened to Jimmy. You have free speech from your government, not your employer. In fact, the first 5 words of the First Amendment are usually things that a lot of people tend to forget, myself included. Because while I do think it should be tweaked to say no entity, private or public, shall make no law, sadly, even for myself, it is Congress shall make no law on the establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise therefore. Right? Literally the first 5 words of the First Amendment say Congress shall make no law. Not Jimmy Kimmel shall make no law, not Disney shall make no law, not these nuts shall make no law. It's Congress. Okay? Therefore, Amir was right in what he posted. But continuing to paraphrase from his post, after he said you have free speech from your government and not your employer. For example, if you called your boss a punk-ass bitch, you would be fired for that. And you could be fired for that. Alright? So honestly, good. Okay? Good riddance that Jimmy was fired. But I knew deep down, considering how close he was to Bob Iger and everybody else that was above him, that he was only going to be off the air temporarily. And to my surprise, okay, he was brought back by this past Tuesday on the air. But that does not mean that people on the left were like, oh, okay, he's not going to be, gone for long. A lot of people were really, really deranged into thinking that he was going to be gone permanently, including Hollywood actress Cynthia Nixon, who, like, I didn't even know who she was until my mom reposted the same video that she posted on her Instagram, okay? But she had this to say.
Hey, I just canceled my Disney Plus and Hulu subscriptions. And they asked me why. I hit other, and I wrote, because I believe in the First Amendment, reinstate Jimmy Kimmel. Now, my whole family is really gonna miss Abbott Elementary. We are really gonna miss Only Murders in the Building. But you know what? We would miss the First Amendment a whole lot more. Don't go to the theme parks. Don't go on the cruises. Cancel your subscriptions. Now.
Yeah. Like that's ever gonna happen.
Yeah, I don't need a Tamu Hillary Clinton to tell me whether or not I should cancel subscriptions or not. But then fast forward a couple of days later. fast forward a couple of days later, she says this.
Did you watch Kimmel last night? I did. I laughed so hard. I was so happy to see him back. But unfortunately, 20% of Americans were not given the option to watch him. If you were...
And she's right about this. Because if you look at this graphic of the stations that weren't airing Jimmy Kimmel following his return, it wasn't just people in my home birth city of New Orleans that weren't allowed to see him because of Sinclair and Nexstar. It was also the entire state of Utah, the entire state of Connecticut, most of Tennessee. The list goes on and on.
In New Orleans, if you were in Salt Lake, St. Louis, D.C., Nashville, you didn't get a chance. And that's the fault of Sinclair and Nexstar. So if you're in those markets, call those people up, complain, call their advertisers, and or just, watch them on YouTube like 9 million people did last night. I, like so many people who in protest canceled their Disney and Hulu subscriptions, have signed back up. So do that too.
Well. How the turntables...
Disney, Hulu, thank you for doing the right thing. The Force is with you.
That's not how the Force works.
But it goes to show how quickly people on the left will flip their minds on certain things. When in all reality, this was not an attack on free speech at all. Okay? And I'm just going to take a page from my own lived experiences because as a content creator, sometimes that's the best thing that you can do to relate to situations like this. But this reminds me of a time when I made an insensitive comment on my Twitter page about my own high school football team. I was a sophomore in high school and about as leftist as most people could get back then. And I made a post the night before Halloween about what I would dress up as for that day. And a lot of people got so upset because it was a photo of a little girl in a trash can outfit. And the team was winless. They didn't win any games. People were so mad that the football team themselves started chimping out over the situation and trying to have me beaten out of my misery because of it. And even my high school band director, who is now a confirmed PDF file, right, he tried to kick me out of the band as a result, which didn't work very well, by the way. I ended up having to lay low, much like Jimmy Kimmel had to, but instead of having to lay low for a couple of days, I was like, initially, I would say give it a week. But then 1 week turned into a month. And then 1 month turned into 6 months. And then I was pretty much off of Twitter for all of 2017. Meaning I was basically off the site for over a year. And I thought to myself, and also to my mom, maybe he's going to be gone for a month. Maybe 2. And I was just being realistic. But then Disney pulls him back and says, you can have your show back, but tone down your political rhetoric. Fair, And the fact that they managed to bring him back quickly, I don't like Jimmy Kimmel because I get him mixed up with Jimmy Fallon way too easily. But I'm impressed with how quick Disney and ABC moved on the situation. And it just really makes you wonder who's really pulling the strings. I mean, you also have to keep in mind that it wasn't just Disney and ABC who were involved. It was also the fact of low viewership and spreading false information, And the FCC has a no-no policy when it comes to broadcasting false information on the airwaves regarding a crime or catastrophe. In this instance, Charlie Kirk getting whacked at Utah Valley University. And it has been confirmed from his own mom on separate news outlets, mind you, both left-leaning and right, that the assassin who whacked Charlie Kirk was not MAGA, and that only applied to his family. That the assassin was actually leaning left. And the fact that Jimmy Kimmel lied about it, that alone was the catalyst for him getting fired. So I personally would say that this is not an attack on free speech. It is the furthest thing from, and in conclusion, what happened to Jimmy Kimmel should serve as a cautionary tale, reminding people of what happens when you're around your employer and you're out there acting a fool, and because of the fact that you're out there acting a fool, you could get fired because of it. That if you called your boss a punk-ass bitch, or if you said false information, that could result in you losing your job, that you would be fired over it. And to anyone that really contemplated canceling their subscriptions over that, I'm honestly just like laughing my ass off over how quickly people are going to jump back into it over what happened to Jimmy. Like, if you're that worried about canceling your subscription over what happened to Jimmy, you have bigger fish to fry. Seriously, you do. That's just my 2 cents on it. If you think differently over what happened to Jimmy and you would like to debate me on the subject, please do so respectfully by leaving a comment down below. It really helps the channel grow. And until then, I am Cinema Avalanche, and I will see you guys on the next video. Take care.